Yo, welcome back, everybody. It's your coach of the Atlanta Sobble, actually Among Us. We're back with week 7 of the PWD. This was the number one match of the entire season that I had circled on my calendar against my good friend and one of the other top standing coaches consistently in the PWD this season, Coach Arts in the Lake of Rage Gyarados, and what we deemed to be the league's first true King of the Hill match. Now, I still got a good one coming up against Sosa. Of course, Arts as well still has the rest of his schedule to play out. And when you see two teams doing as well as these two teams are, you know that you can always bounce back and come at it again with this one, run it back in playoffs. So this is definitely a statement more than a playoff implication match. This is definitely all statement, but we came in with a very creative game plan for sure. We definitely wanted to have plenty of layers to our game plan. We wanted to make sure that we weren't doing just one thing against Arts in the Lake of Rage Gyarados, because doing that not only would that, well, I don't know how to say it, but frankly, not only would that probably not lead to success in this matchup, because Arts is a capable and good coach, but one of the big things in my preparation this week is knowing that you probably are going to have to play this team twice in the season. This is going to be a late playoff contender, barring something crazy happens. Anybody can get hacked or surprised by a set or a tech that works out especially well any given week. But for the most part, this is a team that you can expect to have to go through from either coach's perspective in order to win in the playoffs. So I wanted to make sure that I had plenty of layers to my game plan so that if I do see this team again, he has multiple things to prepare for, multiple looks, and also because I didn't think that being one-dimensional would be successful against him. He leads with his Gyarados. Definitely something that I was hesitant to think that he would do, because it could certainly backfire. Maybe if I would have brought some kind of tech or led differently with maybe my Miltank, which is carrying Thunder Punch, and started just wearing at this thing. Obviously, being the league's kill leader, he put this in danger sooner than I thought he would. But he had brought the tech for my new acquisition of Sobble, which I didn't bring to this battle. Thought it would be a little too obvious if I did. But he brought the substitute Dragon Dance setup. So that limits his amount of coverage, which is a positive thing for me. But it gives him the potential to set up a lot more. It's a little more situational, but a little more potent as well. So definitely good preparation on both coaches. To talk more, about my game plan, I have brought this support clay doll because my real game plan was to go into Aegislash early, try to put some holes in his team, and I didn't do that because knowing Aegislash, the way that Aegislash's stance change ability works, basically even the resisted water hit or the flying hit, which turns out to be his moveset, is dual stab setup for subbing Dragon Dance. And with the boosts and the stance change ability, I didn't want to lose my Aegislash without getting ample amount of work done with it. So I go to my Miltank first, which was carrying coverage for Gyarados. Um, it works out pretty well, even though I lose Miltank. But I really shouldn't say that, because kind of the point that I'm trying to get to as these plays occur, and a little bit of RNG happens, but this point is kind of much more important than that. Um, I'm not playing to the best of my ability, because I'm not sticking to the game plan that I had set. With a base speed of 100, Miltank is not the best abuser of the Trick Room splash element that I added, the little layer of Trick Room that I added to this week's preparation. Better options are all over the place. Aegislash was supposed to be the intended abuser. I explained why I didn't go to Aegislash, but Tangrowth is another option. I mean, with the amount of setting up that he did, I could have possibly gotten a Giga Drain off or something. Obviously, I would have been faster because he kept Dragon Dancing, but the overall point is that even though a little bit of RNG did happen with the Effect Spore, really where I started to get behind at this point in the battle is that I'm not playing to my game plan, and because of that, I basically have started to create a small not threat management, but resource management problem. I'm managing the threats to his team wrong. I need to press the issue if I'm going to set up that Trick Room. Even if I would have went to Blastoise, which would have resisted, I could have got some damage off, broke a sub probably, maybe gave my Aegislash the chance, and the play that I was looking to make and kind of, you could say, shied away from was to set up the Trick Room and fight with my Aegislash, and until the last turn of Trick Room, set up my Atomize, and unless he had set up the Sand Rush Lycanroc, that was the only thing on his roster that I couldn't possibly outspeed with one boost. So while there were still some options that he could have had, I was looking to get, quite a bit of work done out of that. Also, I didn't hang on to my Claydol as long as I could have. I could have soaked up some more with it, like before this, because it was just to set up and support. I mean, as I said, the threat management really wasn't the best. He ends up switching out to his Vileplume and getting the little bit of RNG. Then he goes to his Silvally, which, based on the amount of rock damage that it took, you could tell that it was fire type. Well, and the colors, it was like reddish tint and took 25%, so logically speaking, it might be a fire type. Here was another time when I kind of strayed away from my game plan. I brought out my Salazzle, which had 2 rolls to mid-game, early game, revenge kill if necessary. With his Choice Scarf, it was, going to outspeed his team and be able to, get them small last bits of chip off. And then late game, if it needed to clean up, be able to Dynamax. I mismanaged this in a way. Tried to make the best of it, though. I go for the Max Ooze here. And the Max Ooze, I don't think that the 5 extra base power is the reason that the Max Ooze killed. I think that Sludge Bomb would have been just fine. So that was, I think the pressure getting to me maybe a little bit of being behind in this battle, because I was aware that he could just go to his Gigalith at this point. And like I said, I try to make the best out of kind of wasting one of my good resources in my Dynamax, and try to just, knowing that I'm going to lose my Salazzle to an Earthquake here, I changed the weather and to the sun so that it doesn't get the Gigalith doesn't get the special defense boost, and I can go in and try to get, I obviously don't have my Claydol anymore at this point in the battle, so I've started to notice that I've wasted too many resources and need to get back on track with my game plan. And I go into my Aegislash and begin to set up, because I know that I can live an Earthquake and get an Autotomize off. I'll be able to get a whole bunch of boosts up on this Gigalith. So I use the last opportunity I had with Salazzle in order to change the weather and increase my chances of getting this kill on the Gigalith. Honestly, the way that I executed this setup was pretty good. It was a decent position for me to come back. However, like I said, this was supposed to be like an early game wall breaker to kind of, knowing that he had a good balance on his team, and that's one of the reasons why I feel like these two teams have both been successful, is that they have a balance of offensive and defensive threats, and I wanted to kind of shake that balance up a little bit, even if it was 2 kills with my Aegislash early in the game. I felt like that would have been a significant lead if it would have came early. Coming later in the game, I basically needed to put my Salazzle in a position where it could clean up. And he sets up the light screen here, ends up living. I had prepared for screens Grimmsnarl, and I feel like this was probably good preparation on Coach Arts' part to live that attack, because it should have been at least a roll to survive that, or to get that a likely roll, 65-70% chance to pick up that kill. Could have been another case of RNG, but with them just sneaking it out like that, a lot of the times in draft battles, the opposing coach sees the same things you see in prep, sees a lot of the same looks, and brings the right EVs for it. Unfortunately, then we have to deal with the light screen going up against our Aegislash. If we would have had our Dynamax here, we would have been able to pick up this kill. So like I said, that was bad resource management, or at least should have. I mean, I did not correctly predict that Arts would run the substitute Dragon Dance Gyarados. I thought that some of the coverage moves that Gyarados got access to, namely Earthquake and maybe possibly also Power Whip, were too good to go for this much setup. But like I said, even though there were some other factors like the live by Grimmsnarl and the little bits of RNG on Vileplume, I feel like bad resource management was really where I let myself down here. Like I said, probability says I should have been able to pick up that kill if I could have gone for the much stronger Max Lightning. But I had already used my Dynamax, And really the only thing that I got out of the Dynamax earlier in the game was a change of the weather. It would have been much smarter and a much better use of my resources to go Sludge Bomb. Should have been able to pick up that kill just the same. Should have been similar damage. So no real reason to Dynamax. Then you can switch out possibly to the Tangrowth here, and use that resource earlier on as opposed to one of the Pokemon that you expect to get the most kills, being Salazzle, Aegislash, any of those things. He does get a very fortunate dodge on the Sleep Powder, which forces me to change up and waste my Blastoise as well. But once again, I'm not gonna make excuses, and I'm gonna keep it 100. And I just feel like the biggest factor going into us not picking up this win was definitely using our resources too quickly. Tangrowth, as you will see through basically the remainder of this battle, because my last Pokemon, Tangrowth is a great sponge, for damage. It can Coach Arts obviously sets up probably an extra Dragon Dance because he knows that Tangrowth is going to be able to take one even if it's a super effective hit. Tangrowth's going to soak up all kinds of damage. And I also had the Rocky Helmet, so while he still had the substitute up, it reduced my chance to chip and pick up the kill, possibly leaving him with just a couple of mostly defensive Pokemon left and a decent chance at picking up the of me picking up the win. Coach Arts doesn't want to see that happen, doesn't allow that to happen, so he makes sure that he sets up till his substitute is gone. He gets the bounce, and that's gonna basically be the end of it as he goes through these last few plays. I'm not too deterred by the loss here. We're going to take a 3-0 loss, which, it's not great for the differential. Obviously, you want to try to keep that like a 1 or a 2. Isn't so bad if you do have to lose, but it seems like both of my losses for this season, I'm gonna go down by a decent differential. It is what it is. But, considering everything that happened in this game, I feel okay. My team performed very well considering the circumstances. Obviously, I see a few opportunities, more than a few, to have tightened up and gotten more out of the team. But, there was a chance where I could have got a couple more hits off with my Miltank. And a couple other things could have gone my way. Maybe even be able to take out this Gyarados if the Sleep Powder during the Dynamax would have hit. And so with those things considered, I will say for myself that, I feel hopeful that if we do run into this team again, that, we can learn from the mistakes that we did make. It's not like an impossible matchup that it's just like, oh my goodness, Arts' team blows me out the water and I feel like there's nothing that I can do. I definitely feel like there's a decent chance of us seeing each other again, and if I prepare the same way that I did, prepare thoroughly and play a little bit tighter, that we can pull it off. Plus, it doesn't really deter the mission of trying to secure the first seed. It does hurt to lose to another one of the coaches that is highly likely to be in the running for that first seed bye week. But the Atlanta Sobble will definitely keep grinding in the next 4 weeks of the season as we try to close it out and earn that first seed. And Not to mention the fortunate position that we're in to be chasing the first seed and not fighting for a playoff seed like many of the teams are in the league. Obviously, this was running a little bit past the battle. I wish, y'all the best of luck in y'all's matches to come. Thank y'all for coming through and watching. Good luck the rest of the season, and peace, y'all.